I meant to meet today's guest during my trip to Denver for Outdoor Retailer in August, but sadly I ran out of time. But the lack of that face-to-face meeting fortunately didn't prevent us from connecting for this episode, as one of her sales associates kindly made the introduction. Kelli Jones is the founder and owner of NOSO Patches, a Jackson Hole, Wyoming-based business comprised of adhesive patches that assist in the repair of rips and tears in your outerwear. What started out as simply a better-looking alternative to duct tape, NOSO has grown to a staff of 5 in-house and 15 outside sales reps while annually moving tens of thousands of units in just 5 short years. I was excited to hear her story, but I honestly wasn't anticipating her absolutely infectious, joyful nature. She's a dirt bike rider, mountain biker, wakeboarder, hiker, backcountry skier, and all-around badass. I really hope to make it back to Jackson, where we will certainly be sharing some whiskey. For now, it's time to share Kelli's stoke with all of you. I'm your host, Wesley Smith, and you're listening to the Standard Age Podcast. How's it going?
I'm hiring right now, so.
Oh, well, that sounds tragic.
Amazing. I found the perfect person.
Did you?
Yes. And she put her resume in pretty late in our interviewing process. And so we've been trying to I do this, I'm like a very slow hirer.
Yeah.
And this is her 4th interview. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really interesting place to start. Well, it's nice to also finally meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I know. Are we on? Am I on? Is my audio sound okay?
Kelli, you're on. We're recording.
Are we on? We're not on the radio though, are we?
This thing is on. Yeah.
Wait, are we on the radio right now though?
No. This isn't a radio.
Are we not a radio? I'm pretty old school. Are we on the podcast?
Yeah. You're
Nice to meet you. I saw you on Instagram yesterday. I was trying to see what you're doing. It's pretty cool. I love it.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm sorry I missed you at the show. I saw you from a distance. The show, for those listening, was the Outdoor Retailer show in Denver in August, which was awesome. That's a whole story in and of itself. But I saw you at the booth from afar, and I met Davis, obviously, and shout out to Davis.
Hey, Davis.
And so from this perspective, I had a vague familiarity with what you looked like, but we haven't met. So it's awesome to finally, quote unquote meet. But what I was going to say is this is a really fun place to start. You're hiring, right? So this, as I'm sure you're aware, sort of the subtext of Standard H is for those with drive. Well, coincidentally, for the double entendre purpose of this podcast, it's about entrepreneurs. So, growth, strategy, hiring, all that stuff is super interesting, especially if you're me, because I'm a one-man band. So
what's your favorite instrument?
What's my favorite instrument? Well, I incidentally, I'm a drummer. So
oh, good. Yeah.
If I could bang on something, be it for fun or with anguish, I'll find a way. But what do you look for in a candidate? What stuck out to you about this young lady or I don't know how old she is, but
she, her experience and culturally, we're looking for someone with our vibe. We are a mountain town company, and so we do things a lot slower, with a lot of intention. And
love it.
Yeah. So I don't know, my people are the most important to me. So
that's awesome. What was the position for? Do you mind me asking?
Oh, no. Director of Operations.
Oh, okay. So a pretty big role.
It's a pretty big role. It's a big step. Yeah, we currently have an awesome guy, Tom, but he's been with us for 3 years, but he's moving on into more of a sustainability role within our community, which is great. I mean, he'll still be around, but yeah, we're growing up. We need someone to fill his shoes, which I think this gal can do. So yeah, I'm really stoked. She's a perfect fit for NOSO. So
that's awesome. We usually start with where the subject grew up. Are you from Wyoming?
No, I'm from Boardman, Ohio, which is a little town outside of Youngstown.
Okay.
So that's like east of Pittsburgh and south of Cleveland. Or wait, no, west of Pittsburgh and south of Cleveland.
Sure.
So I'm an Ohio girl. I'll never say I'm from Wyoming, even though I've been here for 22 years.
Oh wow, so you've been there. Yeah, for sure. I've been to Jackson for snowboarding purposes. I hear the summers are absolutely incredible. Um,
Gorgeous.
but it's been almost 20 years since I've been there though. Actually, it was 20 years this year. It was my junior year in college. I'm older than I look. So yeah. How's it
You
changed in the
look
last
good.
20 years? Oh, thanks.
Well, a lot. In the last 10, it's changed a lot. We have a different type of person moving here, which is fine. I mean, all are welcome. But yeah, it's just getting harder for just, middle class people like myself to get your foot in, on the real estate side of things. We have a big problem in our community with affordable housing, which is really sad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's affordable housing. When I moved here, it was like I lived in a yurt in Kelli. I think I paid like $200 a month in rent, and that just is not, that is never going to happen again in Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's rewind though. Like, what was life like in Ohio? Speaking of housing, I read an article yesterday that it was designated as the most affordable state in the United States to live in. So, what was Ohio like growing up?
Amazing. The people are amazing there. They're like so loving, and they're like the heart of America. That's on
Right.
the license plate. We are the heart of America. Yeah, that's great. We have, a lot of potlucks, and we share food a lot, and there's tailgate parties. Everyone loves football. I don't love football as much as most Ohioans, but I will let you know that I was my university mascot. So I like to have fun, in that way, but I never knew what was going on in the game. I would just like look at the crowd and be like, oh, they're cheering. And then I'd be like, do my dance.
Oh, you personally were the mascot.
Yeah, I was Rocky the Rocket at the University of Toledo.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
I know.
Um,
That's a little secret. I
okay,
guess I'm
so
telling a lot of people. I forgot that we're on the podcast.
no, it's all good. So I don't. Did you wear uh like a uniform, obviously, or like a costume, if you will? But like, could people see your face, or
No,
was it the type? Okay,
no, I had a motorcycle helmet on and like two rockets on my back, and then a blue suit that was like muscly. So I looked like this dude, and I'd like walk around like all tough and rough, and um, you know, get in fights with other mascots and just have a really good time planning out our skits and stuff. But yeah, I mean, Ohio was fun. I had a great, I grew up in a house full of love with a ton of, family and friends. I swam through high school and college. I was a D1 swimmer.
nice.
So, yep, it was good. I mean, I love Ohio. It's just when I got done with school, there was no jobs in that area. So, I moved.
Right, right. What did your folks do?
My mom was an entrepreneur. She ran a lingerie store. So she fit mastectomy to, she had AAA all the way up to T, double T. So she was a small boutique, and her mom died of breast cancer. So her, passion was fitting people with breast cancer in their forms and stuff to make them look beautiful.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, my mom is awesome. Shalimar is her name. Shalimar Jones.
What's up, mom?
Hey, mom, love you.
Yeah.
And my dad he did a lot of things. He had a landscaping business. He worked for a bank. I don't know, normal Ohio jobs.
That's hilarious. What's hilarious is you calling it normal Ohio jobs, not that your dad was was working for a bank.
Yeah,
That's not hilarious.
I just remember him having his lunch pail and, like whatever.
Right. The thermos. Yeah. That's
Yes, the
so
green
funny.
one. Yeah, the Coleman green or that like pale blue green.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like the off-white cap?
Yes,
The
exactly.
tan cap? Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes tomato soup in there. I don't know. Yeah, he was happy.
Keeps the hot hot and the cold cold.
Totally.
Right. I love it. That's cool. So, why did you pick Jackson after college?
Well, I traveled a bit. Well, I got my undergrad and then I had about a year before I went back to get my master's. And I was in Ireland at the time with my friend. Her family owns a pub in the Bay of Bantry. And
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
oh, it was, yeah. Again, I like to have a good time. So we were manning the pub, and I had a friend. I used to lifeguard on the beaches of Ocean City, Maryland. And that's how I met my Irish friend, Carolyn. But yeah, I had a couple of lifeguard friends, and I don't even know how they got a hold of me because it was like before email. How did they get a hold of me? I was in Ireland. They're like, oh, it was a phone call, normal phone, landline. Um,
Right.
you're taking me way back. I'm like, how is this?
There was probably like a cord attached to the phone, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, not
Individual buttons for numbers that you
yeah,
or was it a rotary dial?
twirling my hair and it's like ringing, and the Cork was the town that we were in. But yeah, so my friend's like, you're gonna love Jackson. It's like so beautiful. There's mountains, there's rivers, there's lakes. You've got to come out because I love hiking.
Yeah.
And so I came out, I chased the boy, and he he left. I fell in love with the mountains and I stayed. But yeah, I was just kind of backpacking around and found Jackson and never left. I moved here when I was 20, 21, 22.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
What was your first job ever though? Did you work in high school?
I did. I was a babysitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days, right? Like I worked at a bike shop, but like my female friends babysat.
Yeah. I mean, I had to go to school and learn how to like take care of a bag of flour. You're like, remember that?
Yeah.
Girls walking around with bags of flour.
Right.
And like, oh, this is how I take care of a baby. And this bag of flour, I've got to watch it.
That's crazy. Okay, so when you landed in Jackson, what were you doing?
Oh my goodness. So in Jackson back then, you could do anything you wanted. Like there was, what did I do in the beginning? I was a nurse's assistant at the hospital. I did private home health. So I worked in hospice a little bit there.
Oh, wow.
My favorite job was this little organic grocery store where they slice bread and, cookies. And I don't know, it was fun. I just sliced bread all day and talked to people. So that's pretty much how anyone in Jackson knows me. They're like, you look familiar. And I'm like, yes, I sliced your bread.
I cut your bread.
But I mean, you learn people's patterns working at a grocery store. Like there's this one guy, Tom, on like Town Square. There's like Lee's Teas. Tom works there. We call him Yoga Tom, but he would come in at 2:00 every day to get, chocolate chip walnut cookie, like every day, 2:00. But there were so many people like that in Jackson that do those things. Anyway, that was one of my favorite early on jobs.
So is that across from Cowboy Bar, adjacent to it? What are we talking about here?
Kitty corner.
Okay. There was a Gap, wasn't there? Wasn't there a Gap on the square back then?
There was a Gap, and I kind of missed the Gap because there was just staples for...
Right, white t-shirts. Yeah.
Yeah, black t-shirt, white t-shirt, whatever. Yeah, there was Gap, and we had... What was it, Polo? There was a Polo on Town Square there once. I remember that duvet, but...
Cool.
Yeah, I can't even remember that. Good memory.
Yeah, well, I'm a retail head, like I grew up like just ever since I was 15, I've been in a retail store basically. So it's like I have such vivid memories based on the locations of stores. It's weird. Like I know New York City really, really well, and I could tell you where all the retail stores are. I
You
can't
map
really.
it out. That's how you map out.
I mean, obviously, with a place like New York, because everything's basically a right angle, because it's a grid system. But like, I mean, I know the numbers of the streets and the avenues pretty well as well at this point because I've been going so many years. But yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, Ralph Lauren Mansion, 72nd Street. It's just weird.
That's cool.
I always remembered the Gap was on that square, and I think it was directly across from the Cowboy Bar, right? Or no?
Yes, it was. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know. I've been to Jackson Hole once in my life, and it's been 20 years exactly. And for whatever reason, that's what I remember.
You need to come back.
I know, totally do, because the
Now
Snake
you have a
River
new friend,
Lager
me.
is
Yeah,
so delicious. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I'll totally come hang out. Okay. So you're doing all these random jobs, right? When you first get there, but like, did you have anything that you were in for years and years prior to starting NOSO, or?
yes. So my background's in psychology. So I worked as a therapist for the first 5 to 7 years. I had a little private practice where I worked with adults in long-term care and kids with special needs. And so I did some fun stuff like recreational therapy, horticulture therapy, humor therapy, um, dance and art therapy, stuff like that. And I worked with a lot of different nonprofits in town, providing those services to um, yeah, their people.
That's awesome. So you stopped doing that when NOSO began?
Well, no, I just, I was hustling back then. Even I would work on one grant, and then I'd work on another grant. Then I went into accounting. Um,
Okay. Left turn. Right.
well, because it was just like a lot of like, oh my gosh, I gotta get this contract with the school district and this one with the counseling center, and then this one over here with the Hirschfield Center for Children. It was just a lot. And I wasn't probably making more than 20 grand a year.
Wow. Yeah.
But I'm my secret, what is it? My secret weapon is people. I love people. But yeah, it was just so much hustle for my expertise. And so I got kind of burned out. And then I went into accounting, and it was nice. I worked in the administrative office to begin. And then they realized that I was good with numbers, and I learned how to do accounting and worked in a private family office for about 5 or 6 years, and then worked in a public office for about 3. I asked for a profit sharing plan. They wouldn't give it to me. So I left. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to go start my own company. So then I did bookkeeping and accounting I still have a couple of clients there. But I launched NOSO 5 years ago.
Yeah.
NOSO's taken off. Yeah. So now I'm doing NOSO.
That's amazing. Yeah. I want to hear I know the short story, right? Like, I guess you were hunting and you tore your Patagonia jacket on a piece of barbed wire or on the fence. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And it was like 2 days old. I'm like,
Oh no. Yeah.
this expensive jacket. And everyone in mountain towns, they repair their stuff with duct tape.
Right.
And I thought there had to be a better way, because I have long hair, and the hole was right on my bicep, like on my sleeve or right there.
Yep.
And yeah, the duct tape gums up on the side, and I didn't like it. So I started to source all these. I sourced probably over 300 adhesives and different fabrics, and then would work with these adhesives and fabric to find the right combo that worked well on synthetics. So, synthetics are really hard to sew. Sometimes they're big and bulky, or just, weird stitching, or you can't get it under the sewing machine. So yeah, I found this really easy DIY little patch.
Cool. So, well, first of all, I think the story goes you were hunting. What were you hunting?
Oh, elk.
Oh, okay. Big game.
Big game. Mm-hmm.
So are you a bow hunter, or are we talking guns? What are we talking about?
No, I'm a rifle hunter, and I have a 270 Winchester short mag. So yeah, I was hunting elk at the time. I also hunt antelope down south of town. But yeah, no, I was staying warm.
Wow.
And I was just glassing, but I had to hop this fence, and yeah. I was just really bummed because it was a nice jacket and it was ruined.
Right. Were you always a Patagonia head, or were you not really? Your allegiance wasn't brand specific.
Well, I was because my sister-in-law, she worked for Patagonia for 17 years or something crazy.
Oh wow.
So she designed their catalog and then worked for the Tin Shed. So yeah, I loved their product because it was durable and long lasting.
Right.
They have a really good mission statement too.
Have you read Yvonne's book, Let My People Go Surfing?
No, I should though. Have
You
you?
should. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You should totally. So I told this story recently. So I was reading this book. I was working for James Purse. I was on the clock, but the store was really slow. So I was reading Yvonne's book, Yvonne Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia. And in walks this guy. He's like tall, brown hair, kind of, I don't know, nondescript in a certain way. And but he looked nice. This was Brentwood, by the way, in Los Angeles. So like a very wealthy, affluent neighborhood. And he comes in and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're reading Yvonne's book." And I was like, I mean, obviously first name basis, right? And he's like, I'm like, "Do you know him?" That kind of thing. And he's just like, "Yeah, yeah, actually we've met a few times." So I was like, "Cool." I was like, "Man, this is a really great book, by the way." And he's like, "Yeah, what do you like about it?" I said, "Well, first and foremost, it's like he really does hold CEOs accountable." And he just kind of like had this smirk on his face. And I looked at him and I was like, "You're a CEO, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I am." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What company?" And he's like, Disney." I was like, "Yeah, I've heard of it." He's like, "Hi, I'm Bob Iger." And I was just like,
Oh
"Oh
my!
my
I read
God." I
his
was
book.
like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I have it. I haven't read it yet, but I hear it's great."
yeah, I read that one. Yeah, I like his story.
But yeah, you should totally get that book. It's called Let My People Go Surfing by Yvonne Chouinard. Very quick read. Okay, so where exactly were you sourcing these fabrics and adhesives? Are we talking like eBay and places like, I don't know, like where else were you looking?
Oh, just on the internet. I call these people. Yeah.
Wait, these people?
Google it. You can Google anything now and start anything. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I just got on there and I have some really awesome scientists that I work with now that are, adhesive geeks. And it's just fun to, yeah, develop things that work better than what exists. So we're on the cutting edge of, adhesive technology in some ways.
Oh wow, that's cool. I just didn't know if like the initial search was like Etsy or, just anything and everything you can get your hands on because like you said, I mean synthetics are so specific.
Yeah,
Um
and then all the coatings, like, I didn't know anything about fabrics. I know a little bit about fabrics now, I'd say, but yeah, they have all these coatings like polyurethane, DWR,
yeah.
silicone. You just have to mess around. There's all these different types of blends. So, adhesives, we have a rubber-based adhesive and it's like water-based. So it reacts certain ways to certain fabrics and it sometimes loves certain things and doesn't. So yeah, it's fun to R&D that stuff and make something new that's better.
Yeah, that's cool. So when you landed on that first one, so you were adding adhesive to an already made fabric. It didn't already have adhesive on it, is what I'm
Yeah,
understanding.
no, it's like a combination. So you kind of, what you can buy adhesives in a lot of different ways. You can buy it in sheets, you can buy it in rolls, you can buy it in beads. And then you just kind of have to mess around with it. And, I would boil some beads and do a combo of some beads. But anyways, now I don't have to do any of that anymore because I've got this guy named Craig. um, and yeah, he helps me if we have a different thickness that we have to do, or yeah. So I just call him and he helps. And yeah,
Wow, that's incredible.
it's a lot easier than back, 5 years ago. I was just like, oh, I can do this better. And
Right.
then I figured it out. And I would cut some of those patches with my X-Acto knife on my cutting board and wear them in the Jackson Hole Mountain Resort tram line, and then everyone wanted one when they saw them, and that's when I knew.
What was the initial shape? Was it the X, or what was it?
Okay, so I had two. One was the simple heart because that's the easiest to cut with the blade, and the other was an anchor. Like I love Miley Cyrus's tattoo on her wrist. She has this anchor, and I was like, oh my gosh, that needs to be a patch. But it wasn't. It was more for flair, not repair, because it's skinny, really detailed.
Right.
But it stood out. They're like, you see it, you're like, what is that?
Right. So these things that were once originally, I guess, made for repair, now, yeah, it's funny you said that, the flare, not repair. So now they're just, hey, let's put stickers on our jackets because they're cool looking.
Yeah, we call that patch dazzling.
Patch dazzling. I love it. No, that's super cool. I just love this.
First it was like we launched on Indiegogo. That was like a trend there for a minute,
I meant to ask you about that, actually. How was that experience? Was it good?
It was okay. In the beginning, I had this company out of San Diego called Launch Boom, and they helped with the Kickstarter, set up the page. Because again, I was working full time in accounting. I didn't have time to do this, but I was like, I had to secure this launch guy for I forget if it was 5 or 10 grand,
Yeah.
But in that proposal, they did a little bit of PR in the beginning, but our go-to-market strategy was go to OR, get a booth, do this Indiegogo thing, but do it in the same month. So we went to that August OR show, and then the Kickstarter campaign launched August of 16. And then we were able to then tell media that would come to our booth, hey, we just launched, and go, it was just that perfect synergy.
That's great.
To both get trade and consumer press, So that was part of my strategy. But I mean, we only raised $15,000. And again, we have an experiential product. You don't know what this is on,
Right. Through a photo. Right.
Yeah. It's just so people, when they touch and feel it, they understand the product. That's when they have their aha moment. So we learned really early on that I have to get NOSO has to be at so many, we have to be at every trade show that we can.
Right. So people can touch and feel it. Yeah.
Then they get that. But yeah, it was okay. I mean, I can't go back and say I wouldn't do it because everything had its own synergy. I was just I knew I had to do this. I knew I had to launch the product because it was a good idea.
Right. Right. That's cool.
And I will tell you, it was so painful the first 16, 18 months. It was very painful.
What, in what way? Just emotionally?
It was just.
Do you mind if I include this part?
Yeah, no, you can totally include this part. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was just me, like you are, like a one-woman show, and everything's on your shoulders. I created a persona. Her name was Daphne. And she was customer service, but it was really me. So I would have to pretend like I was two people. And because if I had to put something on pause, I'd be like, let me go ask Kelli. And
that's so funny.
But I just didn't have the bandwidth to be 100% to all parties at all times. So I just pretended oh, we're going to have to wait to hear back from Kelli.
That's so funny because you hear about bands doing that, booking their first gigs, and they're like, yeah, let me have my manager call you, or actors for that matter, booking talent and trying to get auditions. I've never heard of a brand doing this. This is fantastic.
Yeah. And so I played these little games. But in that I was like, okay, you have got to answer all these questions by Friday, and it's all on you. And that's really stressful.
Right.
And yeah, because of our growth too. And we, so our first year we were only doing the shapes. And then by year 2, everyone was asking about custom. Can we do our logo? Can we do our logo? So it took us another year to get our custom program where it was or is today, And it was just a lot of changing and a lot of evolution. And we were running, I was running really fast.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I just think the Indiegogo was great, but it put us on the map really quickly.
That's great.
Yeah. The trade show kind of.
So about your printing process, is it just sublimation or like what is the printing that you guys do?
Yeah, it's dye sublimation.
Okay.
And we print on a variety of different substrates.
Yeah.
So different thicknesses, depending on what the customer wants.
Right. Now the material, if I recall, it's to your point, it's very there's like a particular tactile element to that fabric. Do you guys do it also on like ripstop or
Yes. So we have a library of different fabrics that you can choose from. We
cool?
don't really offer that yet because we don't have the manpower to like say here, like here's 7 fabrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we have a customer that's like, I'm going to buy 20,000 units, we will do anything we can to meet all of their requirements, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we'll open up like, hey, sometimes we do the dead stock fabric. We're asking people like, if they're like, we want this color orange to match our fabric, we'll ask them and educate them on like the dead stock fabric option. Like, hey, we can take your fabric and convert it into patches that are exact match. If you have like,
X number of thousands of yards or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, in the US, because it's a lot easier. Sometimes companies ship their fabric from Asia. We did that with a couple of hook and bullet companies because we're also in that market as well.
Is that fishing and yeah, hunting and fishing? I guess I've just never heard of that before. So like Bass Pro Shops and like Cabela's and stuff.
Yes, and like Kuyu is one of our best customers. They're awesome. We have a company out of Nebraska called Banded, which is a duck hunting company. So we don't really talk about our hunting customers so much because they're just doing private label stuff. It's like we're the manufacturer and we get the co-branding on the hang tag, but it's their patch.
Right.
It's a little different than just traditional wholesaler custom.
That's cool. I can leave this in or take it out. It's up to you. But I did notice on your website you have a business advisor, Peter.
The best.
Okay.
Peter Lazat is
I was like, that look on your face was either like, we're not talking about Peter or Peter's incredible. I wasn't sure where you were going.
he knows everything business. I mean, he just has so much experience. He had his own consulting firm in
Okay.
Portland.
Yep.
He was a business consultant, and yeah, I just lean on him, and he helps me through, solve through problems, and we strategize together. And yeah, it's really great. I mean, I believe in mentorship so much. I've been mentored. I mentor, people now too. It's easier to have like a community around you so you don't feel all alone because, and entrepreneurship is lonely. You're on an island by yourself.
Oh, trust me. Don't I know? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have some life rafts, coming in and visiting here and there.
I'm not kidding. I was on a bike ride this morning and I was just even like marinating about like the distinction between being alone and being lonely.
Oh yeah, it's different.
And it's not lost on me that I was alone riding a bicycle while thinking about this. So it's kind of meta, but and then I was drafting an Instagram post that was talking about this very subject, about loneliness versus being alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're two different things, and it's a little bit of both. But I mean, when I hired my first hire, I was like, wow, now I have I have a team, but I have a really like building in like your support system from the beginning has been really key for me. So I have Peter Jarrett, the guy I talked about from the sourcing side of things, my friend Jarrett, Peter, he's my friend too. And, my family, like my sisters, like we had these 2 huge orders. My mom and my sisters flew in to help me pack these orders for Karen. I mean, like my boyfriend, like we've all been like, we would drink whiskey or wine, putting patches in our packaging. And I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without all that support.
Now, all that stuff's done where now? Do you have a 3PL you work with that all the shipping's taken care of, or is that still in-house? I can't imagine that being in-house.
So we had a 3PL for 2 years. So the first year we were doing it all in-house. Second year we outsourced it. And we had a really terrible experience during COVID. We had to pull it all back in-house, which that was last August. It was so stressful. No one knows this, but because we didn't really talk about any of it.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah.
Don't tell them this,
Unless you're on a podcast.
Exactly. All is well in Patchland,
Right.
Like, so when we have to QC everything, and we had this process in place to QC every single patch that came through the 3PL. But now we're at, 1,000, 2,000 SKUs a year. It's too much work for someone that doesn't really, like, we're such a boutique, business that I can't trust that to somebody else. Like, we have so many little nuances with different customers and routing guides, and they would, like, our 3PL mess some stuff up, and that comes back on us, and then we get the chargebacks and all these things. And because my relationships matter so much to me, I couldn't have that happen. And then during COVID, we had all these delays, and you're just like, no. And we totally understood, because we were going through our own stuff with COVID. But if we got a wholesale order for $200, I'm like, that order is going out tomorrow. Right. And we needed that money to come in. Right. So it was tricky to pull it all back in, because now we're doing it, but we have a good system and everything's fine. And it's good now. And it's easy when it's in-house, honestly, because we get to QC everything. Customers, we haven't had a customer, on the custom side of things, we haven't had any issues this year. So
sweet.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard episode 1 of the Standard Age podcast, then let me tell you about my friend Tim Jackson. As owner of Passion Fine Jewelry, Tim and his team specialize in fine jewelry, as well as some of the finest independent watch brands available. I'm talking about Groenfeld, Habring, Kudoki, Roger Smith, Roman Gauthier, Sarpaneva, the list goes on. The staff at Passion Fine Jewelry is literally made up of friends and family, so you will feel right at home if and when you visit. If California is out of reach, you can absolutely email or call the shop and they'll get you sorted. Visit passionfinejewelry.com for more information. As you all know, I'm a huge fan of using the right product for the right job, and like many of you, I appreciate products with a story. That's why I drive a Volkswagen GTI. It's a hot hatch with heritage. It's also why I'm into specific watches like my Tudor Black Bay. And that's exactly why I'm a fan of the indie accessory brand Cantonment. Cantonment makes a utilitarian cloth they simply call a kerchief. It's smaller than a standard bandana, but larger than a handkerchief, which makes it ideal to tuck in a back pocket or use as a neckerchief. I always take one on a bike ride or have one with me as a backup face covering. Not only do these kerchiefs satisfy several functions, but they look great too. Each set features illustrations celebrating icons of product design like the Omega Speedmaster, the Fender Stratocaster, or my favorite of course, a classic GTI. Follow them on Instagram at Cantonment Co. That's CantonmentCo, or visit them at cantonment.co. And use the code STANDARDH in all caps, no spaces, for 20% off of absolutely everything in their online shop. Now let's get back to the show. So how did you go about finding manufacturing? Because I'm assuming at a high level, right? Like, I mean, is it all local or are you offshore with this stuff?
No, it's all domestic. So.
Oh, sweet.
My friend Jarrett, he has a shipping business on both coasts, and he knows everyone. He has a Rolodex, and I just called him and I was like, hey, Jared, I want to do this thing. He's like, you need to call this person, this person, this person, this person. And that's what I did. Jared helped me.
Wow.
He he is like kind of an advisor to me. He just answers all my questions. Yeah, he's a friend.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So supportive.
Okay, so Tom's leaving to do sustainability based things. You're bringing someone to fill his shoes. You guys are 5 years old. How big's the team now?
So we have a independent sales staff of about 15 now.
Oh wow.
Yep. And those are all sales reps in a couple of different like market segments. And then we have 5 internally now. So we have Crystal and we have Neil and Diana who are on our art team, and then me, and then this new gal. So, we have, yeah. And then we have a couple of other assembly people that work on contract as needed.
Did you know these people beforehand to hire them, or did you recruit them, or like how did you hire your staff?
So I met Neil at a trade show. So I met Neil at OR and he's just like, hey, I want to work for you. And I was like, okay. And it was actually perfect timing. So yeah, I met him a couple years ago at OR and he's still with us. And then Crystal, I think we found her through LinkedIn. She applied for a couple of positions at NOSO, but yeah, I got her in January of this year, which was awesome. And then Diana, same, I found her through LinkedIn. So that's how we don't do any headhunting. I haven't Googled how to do that yet. I don't know.
That's awesome.
We're like a small business, like.
Have you needed to raise capital at all, or is it all just reinvestment into the company?
No, I self-funded this. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, I have 100% equity right now.
That's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, it was like kind of like, I don't know. We grew so fast in the beginning. So I didn't have time to put together a deck or anything, by month 13, like this is like my baby, right?
Right.
When she was 13 months old, we were door to door in all REI stores, right? So like you can see how fast we grew.
Did you know somebody at REI? Or was that just knocking? Was that literally a cold call?
No, I was filling, like I was doing accounting and doing NOSO on the side, and I was filling these orders. I had like all of our inventory in like a 3 or 4 by 5 section in my accounting office. And I was picking and packing the orders just, on my lunch break. And I saw this lady at rei.com and I just emailed her and I said, hey, would you be interested in maybe bringing us on into your stores? And she worked her magic, and yeah, she just bought like 2 patches off the website, but I saw it was rei.com.
That's insane.
Yeah, when you're doing all the stuff in the beginning, you're like, oh, I'm just going to email Sally at rei.com, or it wasn't Sally, but.
Right.
I know who it was, but I'm not going to out her right here.
For the purposes of this radio show, let's not blow up her spot. I get it. Wow, that's crazy. That's insane. So what was that initial order like? How many units did they order first?
Ooh.
Because they have, I don't even know, like how many stores does REI have now?
I believe it's either 180 or 280.
Okay, so a lot.
I think it's 280.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, don't quote me on that. I should know that. Some of these numbers, just it's too much information anymore.
I totally get it. Yeah.
So divide that by 16,000 units.
That was their first order.
Yeah, I just did the math on my 10 key. I remember it's 16,000 units. So
wow, that's incredible. Now, whose number was that? Because 16,000 is not exactly arbitrary, but you know what I mean. Like, was that? Because I doubt you were like, oh, REI wants my business. Well, they're going to have to meet this minimum. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was not like that. I mean, I was so excited. It just, when you get that kind of backing, you're going to do anything you can. I don't care how many, they could have bought 10 units.
100%.
Yeah, like put him in one of their flagship stores. I would have been so stoked. It was just kind of like that big pat on the back of, yeah, man, we made it to REI. Like that was so awesome.
Wow.
And yeah, they helped me. Like our buyers now are really easy to work with and wonderful. And we get on calls and talk, and they're just, yeah, it's really fun. It's a good relationship. They support us.
I know you do some custom stuff. A not so subtle hint: we've got a standard H NOSO patch on the way, which I'm stoked about personally.
I can't wait. Yes.
Do you guys produce custom artwork for REI specifically? Are they hitting you with that, or they're just like trusting all of your, art and saying, "Wow, this is all great. Let's just carry what you guys do"?
Yeah, a little bit of both. We designed a couple of patches for one of their grand openings.
Cool.
Yeah, local artist in Jackson Hole, Jenny Francis Graham, sorry. But yeah, we designed for them, and then because they wanted to use a local artist, and because I know a ton of artists in town, I just like put out a call to action and on Instagram, and we found, I think there was like 10 interested artists. And then we sent all the portfolios to the buyers, and then they picked the few final selects. And but yeah, that was a fun process. And then on our art side of things, like they just kind of trust what the best sellers are.
Right.
And I mean, we want things to sell through. So we're trying to make sure that in each region, that patch speaks to those people.
Right.
And that they're going to, want to wear it on their sleeve or backpack or tent,
Yeah, that's great. What role does advertising play for you?
So we have this funny love-hate with advertising. We don't even have any it's hard for us because we can't really advertise a lot because we'll get a really big order.
I'm so over your problems right now. I'm just like,
it's so true. Like we just got a big order a couple days ago, and it's like, okay, we don't have to send a newsletter. We're like, we can't, because we want it. Like we're trying to, like, every order matters to us. Like, and we want it to be as like the most high quality product. Like we're top shelf repair, right? Like we are the Pappy Van Winkles. We are the Pappies of patches.
So I know you spent time in the UK or Ireland, but are we whiskey drinkers? Is that
big time? That's my nickname, whiskey. Mm-hmm. I love whiskey. Yes.
I love this.
Do you love whiskey?
Yeah. So, okay, yeah. I actually prefer bourbon because it's a little sweeter typically, and I have a major sweet tooth. But,
I love it all. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's different.
Well, I mean, rye. Yeah, that's what I meant. Bourbon versus rye is what I was alluding to. But okay. So we'll come back to whiskey. So obviously the heavy hitters come through. You can't advertise because you're like, I can't sustain it from a quantity standpoint. Is what.
Well, it's just like, we got this small team, and we got to make sure we get all the raw materials in, and it's just like, I'm a person that wants to run a sustainable business. And I don't, you can grow things really, really fast. That has never been my intention to that's why I never took on investor money. I mean, I have a lot of investors that want to invest in NOSO, but then you have to run all the financial reports and, meet all of the things. And
yeah, I've said for years, I was like, the day you take money is the day you start answering questions.
Yeah. And, it's hard because, look at COVID. That year we just kind of stayed flat. It was fine. It's just, I personally didn't want that pressure because I already put a lot of pressure on myself anyways, just that's naturally who I am, I wanted this to be fun, and it allowed me to tap into my creative side. I had the accounting side, the left brain, and then I had this fun NOSO side. I didn't want it to become another, pressure on me. So now, though, I don't want to hold the business back. So I think I might be putting a deck together.
Ah, okay. So within the next 12 months kind of thing or sooner?
Yes, if I can get a good team to help just sustain the business and run it, then I can go fundraise. And I don't think it's going to be very hard because I already have like 3 people in mind, and I'll get what I need, and then we can actually market. No,
Well,
so
where do you see your growth coming from? Is it just larger orders or is it assortment? Would you be growing the assortment at all? Like how would you grow it?
I would grow it on the custom collaboration side of things. So,
Cool.
our whole North Star is you get an extra button with the new sweater. Why don't we get a patch at the point of purchase on your synthetic gear?
Cool.
Yeah, but that's where I see the most potential growth. There's a lot of gear produced in the world. I don't think we actually need to produce any more gear, honestly. There's enough product out there.
Yeah, not to beat the Patagonia horse to death, but like that's something that they preach all the time. In fact, I think it was a couple maybe 5 years ago for Black Friday, they were like, don't buy our stuff. Like, go outside and enjoy what you already have, or go repair something and like send it back to us and we'll repair it for you. That whole thing. So I'm totally with you. Like there's plenty of stuff in the world for sure. Obviously owning a business takes a ton of time. Are you still hunting? Like, what are you doing in your days off?
Yes, so I do a lot of things on my days off. I mean, I live in Jackson. That's, you know,
There's plenty to do.
there's plenty to do here. So I love mountain biking. I like to dirt bike. In the summertime, I do dirt biking, mountain biking. We have a boat on Jackson Lake, so I wakeboard up there.
Nice.
Hike and camp. You have a car camper. We have a raft. I mean, we have all the toys. We don't have kids. We're dinks, like double income, no kids, So it's like, who wants to have fun?
A dink. Oh my God. I've never heard that before, but that's hysterical. What are we riding? What kind of bikes?
I have a 250 Honda. So it's just a dirt bike. I blacked it out. I murdered it. It's not red anymore, but
What mountain bike are you riding?
Santa Cruz. It's called a high tower.
That's so funny. That's the paint schematic from 2020 I ripped off and did a project one through Trek. So I got to paint my own bike.
What
And
color
so
was it?
it's gray with like off-white logo.
That's the color of my bike. I love that gray.
Do you have a 2020 Hightower?
Yes.
Oh, well then, yeah, our bikes match. They're just different brands.
I love that gray. Yeah, that's a good gray.
Yeah. Sick. Well, it's a great bike.
It's got the 29, inch wheels.
Wheels, yeah.
It's so much easier. Like, I didn't understand why I was slower than my friends. I am a little older than most of them because I hang out with like 29-year-olds.
Double income, no kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, all the people in like my age group were having like kids. So, but yeah, going over rocks and stuff with that bike, so much easier.
That's great. Sorry, you said you have a van or a truck or something? What did you say you had?
Yeah, it's like a Palomino. So it's like a pop-up camper
Oh, cool.
on a heavy Chevy.
A heavy Chevy. Like a dually?
Is it called a Silverado? Is that a Chevy Silverado?
Yeah, I mean Silverado. Yes, that's their truck line. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I mean, it's silver. The details.
Right, right.
It's not my truck, but yeah, you roll it up and you make food and it's fun. Make a campfire. What, do you have like a pop-up camper or a tent or anything like that?
I mean, I have a tent. I do not have a pop-up camper. What's your daily driver? What do you drive every day?
I drive a 2016 Toyota Tundra.
Oh, nice.
I have the side steps. That was my big purchase this year because my mom could not get into the truck. So I had to put the side steps on for her. Yeah.
Got it. What color is it?
It's white and black interior.
Nice. There's tons of demand for that truck. You'd probably sell it for more than you paid for it right now.
Although I have a lead foot, so that's terrible. One time up in the park, yeah. Sorry to these drivers that I pass that are listening. But
when whiskey gets in the truck.
No, I wasn't even drinking.
I just meant it as your nickname, but.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. But it's a good nickname. It's 55 in the park. You go 55, you don't go 25. And you live here, you're like, come on, tourists, what are you doing? And they're looking for moose and elk and buffalo and, bison or whatever. So there's no one coming. And there's like 5 people. And they're all going 25 because they're looking for something. I'm like, nope. I pass them all. And all 5 of them. And then on Instagram, someone like trolls us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like seriously, 5 minutes later, she gets on or he gets on, whoever, they get on Instagram. They're like, really? You're going to pass 5 cars? And I was like, oh my God, this is such a small town. And I have the NOSO plate.
Oh, they literally direct messaged you?
No, they commented on one of our posts. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
That's hysterical.
It was so funny. Yeah. I got to watch it though. that lead foot. And then I know the officer's name in the park, Officer Cole. Jesus.
Right. So you've met before. Yeah.
Oh, we have. He's like, Kelli. And I'm like, Officer Cole. So nice to see you. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh man, that's so funny. Kelli, this has been a lot of fun. Is there anything else you wanted to promote? Do you have any questions for me, for example? What else do you want to talk about?
I mean, let's talk about some whiskey. That's all.
Let's. Yeah. What are we into right now?
Black Widow and Weller. That's what I'm drinking right now.
Okay. So sorry, I'm familiar with Weller, but Black Widow, you said?
Oh, sorry. It's Widow Jane. Sorry.
Widow
I do
Jane?
that with my words sometimes. Yeah. I'm like a terrible podcast guest at sometimes.
What is the label black or something? It's just called Widow Jane.
It's Widow Jane. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever had Angel's Envy. And it's not even my favorite, but I will say the following. One year I was gifted the bourbon and it was good. The next year, the same guy, one of my best friends, Nate, shout out Nate, he gifted me the rye. And earlier I told you I'm more of a bourbon guy, not the rye. I don't know what's going on at Angel's Envy. I guess it was opposite day when they created their bourbons and ryes, because the rye is like maple syrup. It's so good if you have a sweet tooth. So like it's Angel's Envy. It's kind of like in a tapered bottle. I think the rye is the green label and the bourbon is like I can't remember, like maroon or like a darker brown or some variation of a darker spectrum. But yeah, try that if you haven't had it. It's Angel's Envy Rye. And just either on the rocks, or you could make it into an old fashioned and you could borderline skip the simple syrup. It's that sweet. It's amazing.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to try that.
But my secret to my old fashioned is, and I think I've shared this on the pod before, but it's Nika coffee grain. It's the orange label from Nika. It's a Japanese whiskey brand. Nika coffee, but that is, it's delicious on its own. Rocks, neat, whatever. But that in an old fashioned is like next level.
That sounds next level. Oh my gosh. I was just going to say that. Yum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we'll end on an alcoholic note. I love this. Thank you very much for taking the time, Kelli. It's so great to meet you.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. It's fun.
And I can't wait to receive my order.
Yeah.
Davis is working on it. I don't know what's going on, but I'm in no hurry, but I'm excited, no less.
Yes. Thanks, Davis.
Cool. All right. Well, let's chat soon. I'll shoot you an email and keep you posted on all things for like the release and such.
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay,
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Huge thanks goes to Kelli for taking part and to all of you for listening. As always, thank you to Jensen Reed and Super Beautiful for providing the theme track, and to Clear Audio for providing the noise-canceling headphones. Thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you in another 2 weeks' time. Take care of yourselves and each other.